A disability is something that has a major impact on your life.
Every disability is different.
And it's never the same thing for two people. I am blind in my right eye totally, and partially sighted in my left eye.
I was 18 years old. We were traveling way too fast on a gravel road. Broke my neck, my back.
My Asperger's syndrome and my cerebral palsy.
I have anxiety and depression. People would have no idea just talking to me.
Being independent means different things to different people.
I want to live in my own house. I want to pay my own bills.
Live independently and not rely on other people.
When someone is not able to live as independently as they can, it does have a detrimental effect on people's physical and mental well-being.
It's no complicated thing. It's just that people with disabilities want to be included.
Plenty of people get stuck in ruts when they feel like they can't overcome something in their life. That's where Lift comes in.
Living independently for today and tomorrow. Lift. We help people of all ages and all types of disabilities find the resources or acquire the skills to live as independently as possible.
We serve the southeastern 18 counties here at the Billings office. We have a variety of things that we offer. We can help with grant funding for adaptive equipment.
Maybe a home modification so they're able to access their home. We help people to find that funding.
Helping people apply for Social Security benefits.
Medicaid, Medicare, housing.
They have a peer support group. Peer support, I think, is key.
Sharing life experiences is one of the most powerful things to help people who might be new to disability, who might be struggling with their disability.
Youth transitions is kids that are transitioning out of high school. They need to learn those adulting skills. It might be rent an apartment, learn how to grocery shop, budgeting.
Help someone advocate for themselves in a school or an employment setting. One of our biggest strengths is providing folks with information and referral. If we can't help you, we hope to know who can.
A lot of times we'll have a potential consumer call in and they think that they just have one need, and it turns out that we end up finding 3 or 4 things we can actually do for them.
You can just come in and say, hey, I feel like I have this going on. Can you help me? And we can, which is so cool to me. I love that.
Most of us on staff at Lyft have identified ourselves as having one or more disabilities. That is helpful in many cases.
It's easier to empathize with someone when you yourself have struggled with a disability.
This is what we specialize in. This is who we are, and this is what we do.
And it costs nothing to go to Lyft. It's a nonprofit organization and they're there to help.
Somebody that was a consumer that was working with Lyft was asked to do an art project. He visualized that the balloon helps to lift people up. And then it became the logo, and it's stuck.
There's been success on all kinds of levels.
It's really rewarding to have a consumer go, hey, I was able to do this by myself today.
We want people to live their best life as independent as possible.
Live as everyone else in society and live as a part of society, not apart from society.
Everybody needs help. Sometimes you just need a little more help, and that's okay. That's absolutely okay.
There's plenty of life to live still, and there's a way you can do it. Keep chipping away at it, little by little by little.
Knowledge is power. Let's share it, for crying out loud.
Send us an email, give us a call. We'll do our best to help.
We can definitely help figure out what your needs are and get started on that. We're one of many steps in the path to independence, and we're happy to be serving people here in the community.
Good day and welcome to Living Well in Montana. Living Well in Montana is a program of living independently for today and tomorrow. LIFT, L-I-F-T-T, as we often style ourselves. LIFT is what is known as a Center for Independent Living, meaning we are a nonprofit hub of advocacy, resources, programs, and services, all designed to help people with disabilities live as independently as possible. We serve an 18-county region in south central and southeastern Montana with offices in Billings and Glendive. For more information about LIFT, I encourage you to visit our website at lift.org or give us a call at 406-259-5181 in Billings or 406-948-8500 in Glendive. My name is Jed Barton, and I'm a public relations specialist at LIFT. And on today's program, we have an old friend with us, Shannon Payne, who is back again with Montana Blind and Low Vision services through vocational rehabilitation. She is now a vision rehabilitation specialist with the Adjustment to Blindness program. Welcome, Shannon.
Thank you for having me today.
You're welcome. So to start off, tell folks a little bit about the whole program that is Blind and Low Vision Services.
So Blind and Low Vision Services is a program where we help any Montanan who is losing their vision, low vision or blind, and we help them gain independence as well as seek gainful employment. We also have a older blind program that serves 55 and older, and that one focuses on gaining independence. Through the Billings office, we have 2 vision rehab therapists, and we have 1 orientation mobility specialist, and then our vocational rehab counselor. And through our program, we teach any skill possible as far as assistive technology, activities of daily living, orientation mobility, just to help them gain independence as well as seek employment. Through both programs, we can go into the workplace or we can go into the home, because we know that transportation is an issue. So we can go in to the workplace and look at ergonomics, technology, anything that will help them sustain that work. But we also teach independence because they have to be able to maintain hygiene. Can they match their clothing? Can they make their meals? Can they tell what time it is to go catch the bus to get to work on time? And through the orientation mobility specialist, we can teach how to move around the community, get to the buses. So that's a little bit about our most long-standing programs that we have.
Okay. So in the program that you're a part of now, called the Adjustment to Blindness program, is relatively new. It was created through an appropriation in the 2025 legislature, so it's just getting started, correct?
Yes, and every office in the state has someone
who... When you say office,
so we have offices across the states, the state. So we've got offices in Billings, Great Falls, Helena, Missoula, Kalispell, and Butte.
Okay.
And all of them have a vision rehab therapist. I'm going to say VRT. That's short for vision rehab therapist.
Okay.
And they have a mobility specialist and a counselor as well. And so the VRTs and O&M or mobility specialists across the state, we all help out with the blindness adjustment program.
Right. And what exactly is the blindness adjustment program?
So the blindness adjustment program is to serve anybody who's 55 and under. So we realize that in the state of Montana, you had 2 choices to qualify for services, either going to work through our vocational rehab program or qualifying for our older blind program, which is 55 and older. So we had a population of people who were blind and low vision who didn't qualify to go to work or didn't want to go to work or due to other disabilities couldn't go to work, and we didn't have a program that could serve that population. And so with that, we're able to do that. It mirrors our older blind program. So pretty much anything we teach as far as skills, technology, daily living skills, orientation, mobility, anything we do in the older blind side, we can do the same with the blind adjustment program.
Okay, and you say that eligibility for the program begins with having a vision disability and being 55 or under, correct?
Yeah, you have to have a severe visual impairment and 55 or younger. And so through that, we gauge that through an assessment. So it doesn't matter which program you're in, whether it's vocational rehab, older blind, the blind adjustment program, we have an assessment tool that the VRTs and the mobility specialists use to gauge magnification. We have a list of skills, activities of daily living that will go through, like adaptive cooking, time management, medicine management, computers, telephone. Those are just some examples that we ask questions about to find out if those are tasks that they need. Every client that we receive or consumer, the assessment is tailored to their needs, because every visual impairment is different. Every person can have different levels of visual impairments. For example, something for someone who is 20/70, which means what you can see from the doctor's chair is 20 feet away. So what someone can see at 20 feet, someone with normal vision can see from 70 feet away.
Okay.
And so compared to someone who's, say, 2200, where we have to tailor it according to also what part of the eye is being affected. The central, the peripheral, is there double vision, is there glare, is there night blindness, floaters, flashers. So a lot of it depends on how the person is seeing and what they're seeing and what tasks they're struggling with. Depends on how we serve each client.
Okay. And you mentioned some of the daily living skills, activities of daily living, however you prefer to phrase that you teach some folks to do, and you mentioned some that what kind of things do you often have to teach folks or help them adapt to, in terms of, you mentioned cooking, for instance?
Mm-hmm. So cooking, if you think about it, we use so much of our vision to eat with, to cook with. So you might have to teach someone how to align their skillet on the stovetop so they don't burn themselves when they turn it on. Labeling the stove itself, like marking high, low, medium. For the oven, marking, say, 350 and 400. We have special types of oven gloves and mitts so that you're not burning both sides of your hands, because sometimes the oven mitts protect the palm of your hand, but when you can't see that well, you tend to hit the top of your hand. So we have protective items like that. I always start with a cold stove, so I get them comfortable to the labeling, feeling where their stove top is, where the burners are, and then aligning pots and pans, and then teaching boiling techniques so that they know when their water's boiling, or even knowing how to smell when their meat's done, or even using a timer to figure out when things are done. We talk about measuring techniques, where we might add large print measuring cups and spoons. We might add a liquid level indicator, so when someone's pouring, they can't tell that their cup is filling up. It's a device that sits on the edge of the cup, and you just pour, and it's going to make a beeping noise when the cup is full. We teach knife skills, so we will look at contrasts, say like a black and white cutting board, where, say, the black side you want to cut an onion because you've got a white on a black, or a green pepper on a white. So it gives you contrast. We've got chopping devices. We have knife resistance gloves so that you can put it on your opposite hand. So even though you've gotten the training on the knife and you're still kind of scared, you've got that protection, so you're not hitting your skin, you're hitting the glove. So those are just some of the things that we would do as far as adaptive cooking goes.
Okay, and you mentioned technology. Technology certainly plays a great role, or a large role in society as we know it, but there's and it's changed in full disclosure, you and I have worked together at Lyft, and you worked here in Montana for a while before you went elsewhere, and are now back. But we've known each other probably 15 years now. Yep. And just the technology has changed in just those 15 years, hasn't it?
It has a lot.
So what are the sort of, it's almost like there's more technology, certainly like with hearing impaired and stuff, it seems like there's more technology available, sort of built into things we use every day. Is that true with visual impairment as well?
It's getting there. I think the computers and the phones, yes. The CCTVs, what are some of our clients call reading machines, where it's a monitor on top of a camera and they've got a sliding board where they can read with. A lot of those bigger machines are going away because of, especially our older population, they're downsizing their homes. So we're looking more at portable video devices that fit in smaller spaces. Optical character recognition has become a big thing for those who are light perception or totally blind. So light perception means when they can tell there's light in the room, but that's about all they can see. And that's come a long way, especially with the Orcam Read. It has the ability to do AI, where you can ask it to specifically tell you certain things about it. But the phones have really come a long way. IRA, I forget what IRA stands for, and Be My Eyes, they have assistants that you can call. So say like today I was struggling to make sure that my shirt was teal, and I can call up a person and they can tell me what color it is if there's a stain on it. But they also have AI capabilities, artificial intelligence capabilities, where you can take a snapshot and it's going to tell you what it sees. And Be My Eyes is the only one that does handwriting.
Okay, and this is an app you can download for an iPhone or an Android? Okay.
IRA costs money.
Okay.
Be My Eyes doesn't, but Be My Eyes, it's volunteer-based, so I always tell clients, do not scan social security numbers, credit cards, personal information. Use it for greeting cards, and say like, I wanted to know the time to cook a meal on the back of a box. Those kinds of things. Yeah. I use it a lot for laundry, because I can take a shot of my clothes and it'll tell me what color shirt it is, and then I can hang it up accordingly. Or it's even, you know how much I love TV, and I've got a bunch of TV character shirts. Yep. And it actually told me when I was doing one of my Stargate shirts, it said Richard Dean Anderson, who plays Jack O'Neill on Stargate SG-1, and I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. Okay. But as far as like built-in, the computers now, it's not great on Microsoft, but they have narrator and the built-in magnifier. The built-in magnifier is good for someone who sees at a 5 power, so 5 times what a normal person can see on the screen, and then it gets really cloudy. We do have a free screen reader called NVDA that we have been trying to work with clients, but you still have the JAWS and the Zoom text. Those are still the best on the market, but they cost money. But the phones, Android has come a long way with TalkBack. You've got voiceover, those are the screen readers for the phone. And I would say if you talked to me about 4 years ago, I would say voiceover's still the better with the iPhone, but TalkBack has come a long way, and I would tell any client, go to your local cell phone, try out phones. They both have great low vision capabilities built into them as well.
Okay. So we talked cooking, we talked technology, and you've mentioned some other tasks that you, and again, what I want folks to understand here is that you are a person with a visual impairment, or is it, and so that your background provides a lot of and lived experience provides a lot to the consumers who participate in your program. So what is, we mentioned that a little bit of your background, but your background is pretty extensive, some training and whatnot to become a visual rehab therapist, correct?
Yeah. So I moved around a lot. I'm from an oil family and also a divorced family. So I moved around a lot. And at the time when I lost half my vision, I could totally see till I was 20 years old. I played sports, I played musical instrument. I mean, I knew there were things going on. But when I turned 20 years old, I found out that I had an eye disease called retinitis pigmentosa, and then I'd been visually impaired since the age of 8. And so I was living in San Diego, California at the time, and I got in with the vocational rehab blind and low vision services out in California. And I was really struggling to adjust and adapt to my college settings. So she sent me to, and I don't remember her name, this was 2001, but my counselor sent me to the Davison program in Los Angeles. And it's a 6-month program, and I completed, so you do, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. You do computers, so assistive technology, Braille, daily living, and mobility. So I had to learn how to walk downtown LA with a cane. I had to learn all the technology, Braille, living skills, all of that, and it was 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And then I'd have to go home to San Diego on the weekends. And through that program, the program was a 6-month program, and I was just eager to learn that. I finished it in 4. But the technology classes, I finished in 2. And the instructors were trying to find things for me to do, and they finally decided I would be good at teaching the advanced computer classes. So I taught for the last 2 months I was there. And then I was going to the Braille Institute as a client through that time, and decided to volunteer teach for the orientation it was called Center and Orientation. So I got all the new students, and I had to orient them around the building, what services we offered, and I was the youngest person there. Everybody had macular degeneration, so the youngest person next to me was 65 years old. So I was teaching a lot of more senior, older people with visual impairments, and found a love for our older blind population. And from that, but the instructor in LA said, you need to get in this field. You're really good at it. You're a good teacher. I was 24 at the time, so I went, okay, sure, right. Never thought that almost 25 years later I'd be doing what I'm doing. But I decided to move with my mom. My mom was moving to Montana. I decided to go with her, and that's when I got into Montana State University Billings. I got involved with blind and low vision services as a client through their vocational rehab program, and finished my bachelor's degree in 2011. And that's where I got involved with LIFT, because I did an internship with them my last year of college that ended up into a full-time position as an independent living specialist. And I would get some of the blind and low vision older blind clients from the employers there at the time. And while I was there, I decided to start working on my master's degree for vision rehab therapy. And I think that was 2012 I started that. And then in 2015, the vision rehab therapist was retiring or going to a new position. And the orientation mobility specialist at the time said, hey, get your resume together. I think you'd be a great vision rehab therapist. And I applied and got hired on in 2015 as the vision rehab therapist, and finished my degree in vision rehab therapy through Hunter College with a master's degree in 2019, I believe I graduated. And I was happy in Montana, but I just needed a change of scenery, and so I decided to go to Alabama in 2024 and work for Alabama Department of Rehab Services as their vision rehab therapist. And there I learned about, they have what's called the General Fund, or a program, and it's the same as our blind adjustment program. So I learned how that program worked, but I was also doing vocational rehab and older blind on top of that. But I missed home. I was 2,000 miles away from anybody I knew, and the heat got to me, and the position for this new vision rehab therapy position opened up in I started January of 25, and so I'm back.
January 26.
26, sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I got my dates kind of screwed up. But yeah, and I'm glad to be back.
That's great. So we've got a minute or two left here. How do people who want to get in touch with the blind and low vision services and the adjustment to blindness program, how do they do that?
You can call our office at area code 406-655-7652, and just leave your name and phone number where we can get in touch with you, and you'll be assigned to either me, the other vision rehab therapist, or the orientation and mobility specialist, depending on your needs.
All right. Well, Shannon Payne, thank you very much.
Thank you.
This has been Living Well in Montana, a program of living independently for today and tomorrow. For more information about LIFT, L-I-F-T-T, please visit us at online at liftt.org, or give us a call at our Billings office, 406-259-5181, or in our Glendive office, 406-948-8500. Thank you and good day.